What's up, guys? Welcome to What Do You Mean? I have a confession today that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I've been reading a lot of science literatures and, to be honest, what's been on my mind is there's so many different religions. Who's to say that this one out of all of them is true? And I just have to be real. And honestly, I'm just not too sure if I'm buying this whole Christianity thing.
Yo, what are you doing? Are you talking to my subscribers?
Oh.
Why are you acting like you're on my channel?
Oh, that's...
Hey, what do you mean? Yo, what up, guys? So, as you guys can see, I've been cloned. This is my identical twin brother. so, what's kind of ironic about this is that I thought it'd be funny to kind of pull a prank on you guys for those that don't know that I have an identical twin brother. But what's kind of ironic about this situation is my brother actually we have different beliefs, so we kind of operate on different belief systems. So I thought that would kind of be like a kind of true-ish intro into what we're going to be talking about.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, so I guess we may as well. We just thought we'd probably just have like a little quick kind of conversation about like the difference in our beliefs and stuff like that. Now, for those that are kind of anticipating like, this kind of hardcore debate where you want to see me like smack them around because I can, but I won't. No, it's just going to be more of a conversation. So I guess my kind of first question is, I guess because this is something that we've kind of talked about a little bit, here and there and stuff like that too. Why are you kind of skeptical when it comes to Christianity?
What's up, guys? So the way I feel is I don't know. So, the way I feel is that, I think that choosing a religion is a bigger deal than I think people really give thought to, because there's so many religions, right? So the way my mind process works is it's like, hey, if you're going to choose one, you have to fully understand every religion just to make sure you're getting the right one right. And I find that most people's religious beliefs are just based on their demographic, the way their parents are, where they actually grew up on the map, like location. So I think that people kind of just start just assuming that that's what they should be and that's the way they should think. And for me, it's not that I'm atheist, I'm just skeptical and I'm not sure what is the truth. So I'm more uncertain, to be honest.
Like agnostic, right?
Yeah, agnostic. Yeah. So I would consider myself agnostic, in the sense where there's just a lot of information. Every religion tries to sell you on why they're the right religion. And unless you commit your life to being a super detective, I think it's almost too tough to kind of know that you're making the right decision.
So do you think are you kind of agnostic in the sense where you think there is no such truth, or there's just no way to find the truth, or you just haven't found the truth?
That's a great question. I think the second one. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So there's really no way to know the truth.
Yes, right? Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I think religion has a lot of reasons why humans would want to believe it. I personally want to believe it, but I have a hard time, if I'm being really honest with myself, just deciding it's hard for me because I always have doubts, right? So I always have a lot of doubts because there's a lot of things in the Bible that I feel like don't really make sense to. And I feel that with all religions, if I'm honest.
Yeah, so the reason why he says all these things is because he obviously hasn't watched all the videos on my channel, right? No, but so I guess when it comes to that, so there's a lot of different kind of beliefs and a lot of different things, right? So like even on the theory of evolution, there's all these different ways for how it kind of worked. Do you think that it's possible to find truth in other areas in life, or when it comes to competing views, or is it only when it comes to like religion or that sort of thing?
This is why I think this way, because I think it's hard to find truth in most things, because I think there's always different perspectives to everything, right? So you can look at any situation as the best thing anything that's the worst thing that ever happened to you, you can view it as the best thing that ever happened to you, right? So there's always different perspectives, I feel like. And I think me being an Enneagram type 7 with the 6 wing, if you guys talk about that on this channel, there's always a little bit of uncertainty with the way 6s think, because we're trying to see everything from all angles to try to make a solid decision. And so I think that's kind of just the way my brain works. Is I want absolutes, but I kind of almost believe there's no such thing as an absolute.
So do you think that with some things like I guess is the earth flat, right, or round or something like that, right? Is there an absolute truth when it comes to that? Because I mean, there is perspective. Like if we look out to the earth, it does look flat, right?
Right.
But does that mean that there's no way to know if the earth is round or flat, or are there kind of distinctions that you say?
I would say this is the tricky part, because I think there is some solid truths probably, but I think there's always somebody out there is creative enough to think of a different perspective, right? So if I went into outer space and saw the round Earth, then that would be I base everything on probability, I'd say. So I'd be like, probably the Earth is round. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you probably haven't seen the flat Earth videos, huh? Because they have all this stuff from space, and they say, see, even from space it's flat.
Oh, really? Yeah. So, but I think that's part of my personality trait. I never am too sure about anything because I want to stay open-minded to everything. And I understand the danger of how that can be. So I try to find the happy balance that makes the most sense to me.
So I won't want to kind of stick on this topic too long, but is there anything in life that you believe that you do know for certain?
No, actually, not with the way my brain works, actually.
Do you believe that you exist?
Kind of. Like so.
Oh man, this is going to be a long conversation.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I think life in general is unbelievably amazing, and it's unreal when you actually sit. Like, those moments of clarity that you get, an insight where you're just like, oh my God, I'm like alive right now. Like sometimes, man, life feels like a movie. Life's interesting, man. I'm just going with the ride, trying to figure it out as I go. But I would say that I truly believe I'm pretty open, man. But obviously in some ways I'm going to be a little closed down, but I think I'm open to almost everything.
So, so do you doubt if you exist? Because then what's experience in reality? It'd have to be you, right?
Yeah,
so you can at least agree with that, right? Or
I guess so. I mean, I think life is super interesting. Sometimes to me it feels like a dream, like it's not real.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels real. It's weird being open to everything in that sense, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, that's good. So so on my channel I talk a lot about like the kind of the historical evidence for Christianity and the reason why I think you can believe Christianity apart from other religions, and I think that it's actually it's actually verifiable. Like I think, so you know what I mean. So because of that, I don't think we've talked a lot about the historical stuff, have we, before? I don't think we've even made it that far because our worldviews are so different. Where if we can't even agree on what's true and what's false, then it kind of stifles the conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a challenge because the way I feel about like the history of everything is, remember you guys played that game when you were kids, the telephone or whatever, like you say one thing in someone's ear, you go around in a circle and the story changed by the time it gets there. Well, think about that on thousands of years, right? So who truly knows, and see, I'm always going to have that side of the skepticism, but who truly knows what's really true and what's not in any historic book? Right, so that's where but see, here's the other half. I haven't dug into the science, right? So I can't say like from personal experience what the true science may or may not be.
You mean history or?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, history. Sorry, yeah. But that's just the way my mind thinks.
I'm a very skeptical person, and I think that's part of human nature. You know what I mean? Or some people are wired that way, a lot more skeptical. Yeah. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's only a bad thing when you let your doubts or these things go to waste. You know what I mean? And you don't kind of progress. So
yeah. And see, I think that's another challenge, right? Where it kind of keeps me stuck is because I feel like there's never going to be enough information to make me certain in any area, right? So that's but I can base things on probability, right? But it's kind of like when you
don't know how to assess the probability.
Yeah, and honestly, like that's for my brain, that's a lot of freaking work. Like, I don't know, man. It's just, I would feel, the only way I'd feel confident in that is I would have to literally study it like a science man. Like, I'd have to, like,
you should.
Yeah, but I just don't. I also, the other half of me, I'm not saying this is true, but I kind of think that, like, if actually, I don't even want to say that on this channel. No, because it can get ripped apart easy. Okay, just gonna rip it apart. But like, but I feel like if there's something like God or a certain religion to be true, right? Then it would have to be fully understandable, fully digested for a 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old. You see what I'm saying? And so I feel like it shouldn't have to be a scholar or someone that's like a mad scientist to freaking get the truth out of it. It should just probably be. But again, who am I to say that, right? Like, that's just my assumption.
No, I think you're right. I've actually thought about that. That's why I think that's another point for Christianity, because I think that Christianity is simple enough to understand it on its foundational level. You understand that Jesus died for your sins because nobody's perfect, and so, you know what I mean? And so I think that it is that simple. But what's so beautiful about it to me is that you can get more complex and more into it, and then you start seeing just how much more rich and detailed and how much more there is to know, you know? And I think that if you could learn everything about it, you know what I mean, in say a few years or something like that, where you know every single detail, then that wouldn't be, in my mind, from an infinite God. You know what I mean? Because I think it's the fact that we want to seek them and learn more about them and love them and that sort of thing. We actually grow in those ways.
Yeah, I think that's dope. But see, that's another example of what I mean by perspective. Because, like, he just brought, like, that perspective, right? Like, you can look at it this way, and then that's, you know, that could support it more. But then somebody else who wants to prove Christianity wrong really bad on the other side can be like, no, this, and then everything sounds good. You see what I'm saying?
That's why I think we would have to, there are a couple things to say about it, but I'd say one of the things is that's why you use tools that are more objective, right? So logic is objective. You can't deny the laws of logic to be, or you're illogical, right? You literally can't, because it won't make sense. Like, you know, God either exists or he does not exist, one of which is true. You both can't be true at the same time and in the same sense, right? So I'd say that using those, you can actually, it's not about what sounds good, but it's about what's true. Always been in my mind, you know, because I do think people can make cases that sound good for almost everything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's kind of like picking a president. That's honestly the way I kind of look at religion. It's like, you know, this guy has strong cases, this guy has strong cases, and then this religion sounds awesome. Like, I think the Buddhist religion sounds cool. But that's probably because I'm optimistic Enneagram type 7. But, like, I align with the Buddhist philosophy a lot. I think their philosophy sound for me, right? Yeah, but so it's a choice, right? And then you have all these different angles. Who's to know what? The reason why I think it's always been a debate for so long is because nothing is possible to prove to 100%. You see what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. So I think it depends on what you mean by proof, right? Because if we're talking in terms of probability, kind of like you said, I think you can be probabilistically
I think so
certain.
too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I have in my mind, nothing, you know, you can't prove anything with absolute certainty besides a few things, you know what I mean, with absolute 100% certainty when it comes to just, there's no possible way you could be wrong, you know what I mean? But I do feel pretty positive, I'd say, probabilistically certain that Christianity is true, because the way I look at it, when you compare it to the way that the world is, and when it comes to all these different religions, it's the only thing that actually makes sense of everything and corresponds with the data, you know. But I mean, we'd have to say that for another conversation. But
do you think that another religion can come in and say the same thing and prove it?
I don't. But yeah, I think that kind of stuff does take time sometime. But I think that if it's the most, I mean, think about this. If God does exist and Christianity is true, or if any religion is true, that's the most important thing you can possibly learn in this lifetime.
I would agree.
Yeah, so that's why I think it's worth that time. That you're just like,
I actually agree on that. Actually, the problem is I think deep down in my gut, I just feel like that is going to be a journey that never ends and never comes to a conclusion.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of like what you like in life anyway? Like having the journeys?
Yeah, if I know I can get a destination at some point.
Unless you didn't like the destination.
No, I want to believe that I'll hit a destination.
Yeah,
you know?
You will.
I don't feel like it will. I wish but you know, I think that I guess my views on Christianity is is it makes a lot of sense a lot of ways, but then some things I feel like don't make sense, and those things then they'll be like, oh, well, you just got to ignore that part, and there's stories like Abraham telling him to kill his own kid. Like, what? That's crazy to me. Yeah. Like, I don't know if God would say that, right? Yeah. And if so, what? That's crazy. So,
what I said.
But you don't have to explain that. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of stories like that make you think, like, what? Like, God's punishing everyone because of one person's sins. Like, what? Like, there's a lot of things that sound kind of interesting to me.
Gotcha. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but God forgave everybody. God forgives everybody who wants forgiveness based off of one person's sin. Is that fair?
Wait.
So if it's unfair, I'm assuming, are you talking about Adam when you're saying God's punished everybody? Okay, but is it fair that Jesus alone had to suffer and get tortured and die for everybody's sin, whoever wants to accept it?
No, but I'm like, well, that doesn't sound like the optimistic. I mean, not the optimistic. I mean, the optimal solution is like sending your own kid. I think there's probably other alternates. Like, I don't understand like why it had to be so brutal and gory and torturous. You see what I'm saying?
Why? But why do you think that?
Well, I don't know. Why not? Like, why? I mean, God's all knowing, right?
Right.
So,
exactly.
Like, why put someone through torture and pain and like gruesome murder just to freaking like prove to people it doesn't? So, I'm not saying it's wrong. Just to me, and this is based on my life experience of moral code that I believe. I think that's extremely immoral.
What if you thought about it and that was the best way to do it?
Yeah, then that's what I'm saying. Then it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But but it doesn't seem very likely that that's the best scenario he can come up with.
Gotcha.
He's God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so we'll wrap up. But what I was gonna say is, what were we just talking about? Crap, because there was something I was gonna say. I can't remember. Do you remember what we were talking about just right before? Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Okay, so yeah, there's gonna be these things that sound weird, like, you know what I mean, the weird kind of stuff in the Bible or whatever. That's not really our everyday experience,
Right.
But I think that's when you start from what you do know. It's just like everything else in life. You don't start from what you don't know. You start from what you do know and what you can trust, and then build up from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think that's a backwards way of doing. I mean, yeah, you could take that approach, sure.
Well, I think that's how we live life, right? So, like, if you're driving a car, it's it's possible that you don't know what can happen. You could possibly,
I think that's a good perspective. It's a way to think about it, but I don't think that that's like the absolute, right? Like that's the challenge. Is like there's so many different perspectives. There's so many different ways of taking the information from the Bible and regurgitating it. But I feel like this is just a guess, right? Like, it's not actually, I shouldn't even say I feel like, because who am I? But I feel like it should be something that everybody universally, even if you lived in an island by yourself on a rock, I guarantee you that person's not Christian. And that's, if they were, then that would make me 100% sold. Like, yeah, it's in everybody, right? But if you have 1,000 people living on an island right now that nobody knows, I guarantee you they're not Christian. Do you see what I'm saying? And so what happens? They go burn in hell for eternity, forever. Like, to me, it doesn't really. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it just doesn't. It's not a probable thing in me making sense.
Right. Yeah. And then that's where we'd have to get into, what Christianity teaches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I think that's fine for now. So. Anything else you want to say to everybody?
Man, I would like to say I think this channel's cool. I think it's bringing a lot of truth to a lot of myths.
Are you watching it?
Yeah, I probably watched like 10 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I watched a lot.
I got over 120 videos or something like that now.
Dang.
No.
I watched a lot, but I never would sit to watch through all of them. Yeah. Just don't do that. Right?
Like, you need to. Be sure to been doing all this research and all that you're saying, right?
No, I think it's dope, right?
Yeah.
And I think the channel is like bringing a lot more awareness to people who just don't have it. That's always judging Christians in the wrong way. So I think it's dope what you guys are doing. And yeah, I think it's cool. I think everybody just stay open-minded. Try not to bash people who see things differently. Yeah.
So the next time that somebody says, they decide to start bashing Christians or start bashing everybody for having different beliefs, what should they say?
Man, that's easy. You just say, what do you mean?